to podium alpinum, the Edelweiss, I don't know how it's said, I think in English it's Edelweiss too, and we just put it into the water, take it out again, and you get beautiful crystals. So the question is, the word InFormation, what does it say? It says a vibration gets into form. It drifted very much into the esoterical world, where we talk all about information, and this is also nice, of course, but very simple spoken, information means nothing else than a vibration materialized into a form. And the funny thing is that water has the unique ability to absorb any vibration. I make testing with radioactive substances, with ultrasound a lot, I'll show you later, with sound, and I always can show that water reacts on vibration. And the funny thing is that water reacts on any vibration. It reacts even on your thought. And that's the amazing thing, that your attitude is reflected in the water. So the funny thing is, before we had a mirror in our bath, or wherever, the first mirror of the humankind was the plain water surface. If we looked on the water surface, we could see ourselves. But the funny thing is that we don't reflect ourselves only on the macroscopic level, we also reflect ourselves in the microscopic level, which means that your vibration, I think this is obvious, not when you're emotional, it's quite a lot of vibration, or when you're in love, or whatever. So, your vibration and the water itself reacts also on vibration. So, which means if I take a drop of your saliva, or urine, or blood, or whatever, like liquid, I examine, I can see a reflection of yourself in the water. And this is actually the main purpose, or the reason why I'm invited in many peace festivals around the world, because I'm reflected in the water. So it's like a lie detector. I was invited by the energy ministry in Russia. Actually, Moto was invited, but Moto didn't want to go, so I went there. This is the great job I have. So he's not traveling everywhere, and when it goes more into science, he always says, Rasmus, you have to go. He doesn't want to go there. And we can see that water is like a lie detector, showing the quality and the beauty in the form. So, Emoto, when I heard about him, telling that he is playing music to the water, I thought this is by far the most crazy thing you can do, because chemically spoken, it's completely nonsense. Water is water. What should happen there? But I was allowed to do this kind of testing, and this was a cooperation I had with the St. Petersburg University. Due to my first lecture in Russia, many doors opened for my work, and I went totally 40 times to Russia already in my life to work with many great scientists. Russia is a quite interesting country. Even if it was closed, the science was open. So the mind of the scientists, I would say, were pretty open to new things. In the Western world, we are so free and open, but the science is completely closed. We are so afraid to embarrass ourselves. People told me, how can you work for Emoto? You lose your entire reputation. I told him, I don't have any reputation, so there's nothing to lose. So the Russians made a lot of great experiments, and I was allowed to work, or am allowed to work with many. And this works, for example, in experiments where we just applied Mozart music, and we could see a difference. And we tested it also with different devices from Russia, which I cannot go into now. The thing is, we never get the same crystal. So, why is it like this? The thing is, I will show later in also other examples, is like this, that vibration causes form. Like wind is a vibration, not flowing over, flying or blowing over the ocean, and you see all the waves. And we know there's not one single wave which is identical than another one, if we examine it completely accurate. So vibration is always unique. And now, if I separate time, if I make a timeline, and I separate time from the second to nanosecond, picosecond, more and more accurate, then you can say every snowflake which is created during time or in the universe has its unique moment. If you go until eternal accuracy of time, which means there is no snowflake which can be the same. Because vibration is always changing. It's always changing. If just a car passes by, all the vibration is changing. So vibration can never be the same. Vibration is always changing, and actually vibration is life itself. So it's a movement, if you want. To go to homeopathy, so I made this music testing, and I thought this is pretty strange. It's wonderful, I get great results, but I couldn't understand it. And for me as a scientist, or at least I try to be one, I don't know if I am one because I'm not a classical one, I thought I couldn't understand what I do. I see that water changes, but I couldn't understand it. Then the laboratory got many different samples from many people, and then I had to test homeopathy in the laboratory. And then the funny thing is that Hahnemann himself, he always diluted in intervals, like we have in music, 1 to 1, 1 to 5, the coup potence, for example. So he didn't dilute his remedy 1 to 37. He diluted 1 to 1 million, like an octave, many million octaves. Or 1 to 5, the quint, the fifth, do, re, mi, fa, sol. Yes? So he was always diluting in intervals. So I thought this is quite funny coincidence, or maybe not. The truth is that in homeopathy, I had many homeopaths in my laboratory who told me about homeopathy, but actually that most of them don't know anything about homeopathy, even if they study it. They talk about cluster and they talk about structure, but the problem is that no human being has ever seen one single water molecule. It's too small. You can see entire water. You can, with the electron microscope, you can measure the vibration, but a single molecule you cannot put on the microscope and see. So the whole we learn about water are theories. It's not facts, they are theories. So, and the funny thing is, when we now come from music and homeopathy, why are some homeopathic remedies amazing, efficient, and why are some not efficient at all? I wonder, why is it like this? Why is homeopathy so critically viewed around the world? And now the interesting thing is to understand this. Homeopathy is the dilution intervals. If I have here a violin and the notes and I give it to somebody of you and say, please play, and maybe the person will say, I can't play. I say, why? You have the notes, you have the violin, play. But you have to learn to play it. So the same is with the homeopathic remedy. So the person himself who makes the dilution is much more important than the dilution itself. So this is why most of the homeopathic remedies are not worth the money. Because people are thinking quantitatively, I just have the violin and the notes. But their attitude, their own vibration, is reflected in the whole remedy itself. Yeah? This was why all this started it was a testing with a Japanese vinegar. This is a bamboo vinegar, which is fermented over 10 years. It's a healing liquid, you can say, in Japan since centuries. And I couldn't get a crystal, and I thought, let's start to dilute it. That's the first thing you learned in laboratory again. So I started to dilute 1 to 1, 1 to 10, 1 to 100, 1 to 500, 1,000, 10,000. And I couldn't get a crystal. And suddenly, by 1 to 50,000, all the crystals popped up. And I thought, this is strange. Why not by 1 to 40,000? Why 1 to 5? And this is the interesting thing, that the interval 1 to 5, do, re, mi, fa, sol, is the main used interval in music. All music therapists, no matter if it's Mozart, maybe he's not a music therapist, but I would say his music has an effect, or if it's the Sufi master in Turkey, or if it's the Zen master in Japan, or if it's the yogi who plays with the sitar in India, they all dominate with the fifth. Yes. And Hahnemann, the strongest homeopathic remedy is said is the 1 to 50,000, the coup potency. And the funny thing is, maybe you have it in Finnish or Swedish too. In English or in German, you say the quintessence. Yes? What is the quintessence? It's the most important thing. Maybe of a lecture or of a sentence or whatever you talk about. So the fifth has a special quality. This is another important man I'd like to explain a little bit. This was a forest engineer in Austria. And he examined water, and he saw that a trout, a fish in the river, could stand in the high stream of the river, strong stream, without any movement. And physically it's impossible. The moment he changed the water quality, made it warmer, put pollution inside, whatever, the trout couldn't stay in the water anymore, just was drifted downstream. And the thing is that the water itself always moves in the movement of a vortex. Like when you sit in the bathtub and pull the plug, the water runs out. It never runs out like this. It always runs in the movement. When I talk, the waves are not coming like this, like we see it in the books. The waves are going like this in a vortex. Yes, so all movement in the universe is not like this. It's always in the vortex. Yes, at least let's call it the natural flow. If you have a river never flows like this. It goes like this, always changing. So this is like the natural flow of the water itself. And the funny thing, it's the same like in the sound. And I made quite some testings. And when you take, for example, the blood in your veins, it doesn't flow like this. It flows like this. And there are so many water machines on the market. Maybe it's also in Finland or Sweden like this. It's big business and it's pretty much nonsense on the market. If you just take a spoon and steer the water, the structure becomes much more beautiful. So it costs nothing, just a little time, maybe effort and attention. So it's very interesting that there is a quality in the movement. So you can very easily improve the water. This was a very nice project we had in Switzerland. There was the boss or the chef, the boss of the water department, and he heard about our work and he said he would like to improve the water of the whole village. And the mayor said, this is completely nonsense, we don't spend a single cent. So he went, I made some testing for him, and he went to every household and distributed the results, and then the people all wanted to change the water quality, and the mayor suddenly wanted the same. And then they changed it, and they made the water supply that the water can flow open and freely, and they have beautiful water in there, in the village.